essays or questionnaire that you answer as your interview. Think of it as that first screen, that phone interview, because in essence that's what it is, as you're being ranked in the process. So one of the questions that we get a lot is, how do you really target the right position? What grade level should I go for? And if there is, that imbalance between what your salary was in the private sector versus what it may be in the federal government, you really have to balance that out with what you're getting and evaluate that on a case-by-case basis. So it's difficult for me to say, well, if you had this particular job in a corporation and you were making $85,000, that you should target, a GS-13 position making this amount for that same position, or a GS-14 position making a certain amount, because they may not be the same based on the responsibilities of the job. There are also differences in the salary levels because there are grades and in each. So you might be a GS-9, step 5. So there are different steps along the way. I didn't want to get into the whole table with you because we could really, get into so many different things there, but I did want to supply you with the actual reference to the 2010 salary table so that you could see those. And also, I put in parentheses that locality matters, and that's because you really do get adjustments for where you live. If you live someplace that has a higher cost of living, your salary adjustment could be quite substantial compared to someone in a much lower cost of living geography. Also listed here is the agency list. And I don't list that there just to give you a laundry list of agencies to look at, but targeting the right position is really about understanding the process and also knowing what the government does. The government is huge. There are so many different departments and agencies and quasi-government agencies that exist that it really is worthwhile to do your homework and target a couple agencies to go after. Each agency has a specific mission, and they're very different. I mean, think about the Veterans Administration versus, say, the Forest Service. Totally different missions, but all in our best interest as a country. So what may appeal to you to work in a Forest Service, someone else might want to work for a Small Business Administration. Someone else may want to work for the Department of Treasury. The government has so many different areas that you can contribute to. So once you've actually kind of researched a couple of those, decide that you're going to just do your homework without having to do a lot of work. One way is you can set up Google Alerts. You can go on Google. You can literally Google Alerts. And if you Google Alerts, you'll see that you can set up Google Alerts on certain keywords. So you might set up a keyword on, Department of Treasury, Chicago, because maybe you're in Chicago and you want a job there in the Department of Treasury. So you'll start getting any news that comes out about the Department of Treasury in Chicago. That's how you start finding out what's going on in the agency. Then you can go to that agency site and really start looking around and finding out. And another simple way to start targeting the right position is go to USA Jobs, usajobs.com. Set up a job search agent. If you don't have an account on usajobs.com, make sure you get one. Set up a job search agent. Put in keywords also. If your skills are writing, technical writing, analysis, research, you might want to put in a search for that. You might want to put in your search by location. Maybe you want to relocate to Atlanta, so you might put in for all of the administrative type positions in Atlanta. And I use the word administrative because words really have different meanings in the government sector versus private sector often. So administrative to someone in the corporate world might mean an administrative person in the sense of a secretary or an executive assistant. Well, in the federal sector, administration takes on a whole new meaning. Administration could be at the very highest levels. Administration could mean someone at a general clerk level, but putting in keywords like that will give you more detail about specifics of those types of jobs, and you'll learn what's going on. Another way to target the right position is really look at the response that you've been getting. Almost over half of you said that you've already applied for positions. So if you're not getting responses, you're not making the search, you're not being referred. Search is another way of saying that. Referred for an interview, referred to the hiring manager. Those are signs that perhaps that's not the right position for you, because when a federal HR specialist looks at your resume, they want to know that you already can do that job. You have the knowledge, skills, and ability to do that job. When you look at those KSAs, are you having trouble answering them? I'm not saying that you should be able to score a 10 on every single question, but if you really are having trouble answering those KSAs, then chances are that's not the right position for you, or it's not the best position for you, and it's not going to really put you at your strength. So that's my suggestion with that. Critical key number 3. Remember the maze I showed you with the whole federal process? There are some alternative routes as part of that federal job search. And one of the things that you really have to do is consider, the economy that we are in. Consider the fact that there is more competition. Yes, there are jobs available, but there still are a lot of highly qualified competitors out there. So what are some of the alternative routes? Some of them are special programs, and some of them are things that we already know about, like networking. So don't just rely on USA Jobs. I mean, at the end of the day, USA Jobs is still a job board, and a job board search-only strategy is not really a comprehensive job search strategy, no matter what kind of job you're looking for. Number one, only about 60% of the jobs are actually posted out on USA Jobs. And that's because based on how they fall in that process tree, some of them may be posted on the agency site itself, and in many other cases they may not be posted at all. So one of the special programs, FCIP, actually stands for Federal Career Internship Program, and I'm going to give you some more detail on that. And even though it's called a career intern, it doesn't just apply to students. There's also a direct hire program. Yes, the government can actually hire you on the spot for a position. So, believe it or not, I actually recommend going to job fairs when, here's the caveat on that, when it's either a government-sponsored job fair or there are going to be government agencies there. And they will often have direct hire positions when they show up at job fairs. I know that job fairs can be very discouraging for job seekers, and nobody wants to stand in line and then have someone tell them, well, go apply online. But the reason why you would go to federal career fairs is, one, because there is the chance of the direct hire positions, and two, it's an opportunity to network. I just got an email the other day about someone who has an interview because she went to a job fair. She networked with someone from an agency at the job fair. They gave her the heads up on a position, and she applied for it. They gave her, they gave her the heads up on the job. And so it was really an insider information, opportunity for her. She would not have known that had she not gone to the job fair and did the stand in line thing and talked to someone and get to know